What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Alright, my friends, so again, the Gloom in the Corner. We're going to be checking out the entire album Trinity here, as I said. It's a pretty long album. It's 54 minutes long, so we'll have to jump into it right away here. I'm excited. I'm hoping it'll give me some kind of Halloween vibe, since again, this is filmed on Halloween. I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, I hope we just have a good time with the album. Again, very new to these guys, but again, this album has been getting some pretty good reviews from, like, some people that I know in the scene, the reaction scene, just like, you know, critics and stuff. So I'm excited to dive into it here. So again, let's pop it off here in 3, 2, and 1.
A few moments later.
Man, that song was cool, but I just don't see why it needs to be like 8 minutes. Like, obviously there's songs out there that I do enjoy that are over 8 minutes, but I don't know, sometimes most of the time long songs just don't work for me here. But overall, I really did enjoy the album here. I thought it was really cool. So I'm excited to give my first listen review of The Gloom in the Corner. So stick around. That is coming up next. Alright, my friends, so again, that was the band The Gloom in the Corner with their new album Trinity. Just got done jammed the entire thing. Overall, man, I definitely enjoyed the album. I thought it was really cool. Definitely had some high moments in there for me, and some low moments as well, but we'll definitely talk about the pros here first. I would say pro number one is that I really do enjoy Mikey's voice. I thought he did a really good job of like harmonizing in the songs. I think his screams are really cool, especially when he gets really low with them here, but I actually prefer his singing voice over his screaming voice. It just brought so much of that, like, the emotion to the songs, and I thought that was really cool. So I'd say Mike's singing voice and the harmonies in the songs are just absolutely fantastic. I thought he did a really good job with that here, so props to you, my dude. Also, another big thing I really liked about this album is that the features were really cool. Almost every song on this album, except for like a few, had features, and I've never seen an album do that before. Like, I've seen, obviously, where there's been, you know, 1 or 2 features maybe, but almost the majority of the album has features. There's only a few songs that don't, but the crazy thing is that it didn't really take away from the overall experience. I think, honestly, it kind of enhanced it a little bit here, and we'll kind of talk about that with my cons here, but I think the features really held a lot of these songs together for me here. I mean, everybody sounded fantastic, even for the people I didn't know. I was like, this is really cool. I mean, it was cool to see Ryan for Fit for a Kirby, Joe for Fit for an Autopsy. I mean, just so cool. Like, there's so many cool artists on here. I was like, wow, I did not expect them to be on the Gloom in the Corner's new album, which, again, thought that was super sick. I would also say this album has a lot of unpredictable moments. While a lot of the song structures are kind of the same, and some of it does blend together for me a little bit here, there's a lot of cool orchestral moments, or cool like screams, or cool breakdowns, or even a song like an whole like Behemoth, where it totally was like not what I expected, kind of breaking away from, I guess you could say, the monotony of the album at times. I was like, this is actually really cool. So again, the album has enough unpredictable moments for me here that I did find this album overall super unique. And then I would say the other last pro that I would say is that I really like the way they did this album. Now, obviously, you know, when we did the first song, there was a really short song, and you could tell it's kind of leading into a story, which I think they did a really good job, because, like, not only do you want to see what happens next, it makes you want to listen to the entire album as a whole. And I know the world nowadays, all of us either have like Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, or just YouTube in general to listen to music. And so a lot of us don't really buy CDs anymore. But again, if you like watch this album or listen to this album all the way through, it does tell a story that I'm still trying to figure out. As far as I know, I think the three people on the front are like the heroes, and they're trying to stop like a evil force from hell or something like that. I'm probably completely off when it comes to that here, but overall, I mean, it's cool that they told a story, and I think that does engage people. Like, you know what, I do want to listen to this album all the way through, which is great for them, because again, that'll get their numbers up and those types of things. And so I think the way that they told the story and saying like, hey, this is a story based album, obviously with a video game or a movie, you want to see what happens till the very end. Whether you love it or hate it, you want to see what happens. So props to them for putting together an album that I think people will listen to all the way through. Sincerely, like, really good idea for an album. Again, I really did enjoy this album, but again, there are just a few cons for me here that kind of just weighed this album down for me here. And again, I'm not afraid to give my opinion. Now, I do work with Sharp Tone Records, but again, I don't have a problem with criticizing or giving my personal opinion on things that I didn't like. So just let y'all know that here. And they're really cool about that kind of stuff too. So I really appreciate them as a record label and them as people and all the artists. Like, they're all just wonderful people. So a huge shout out to them. But again, I just got to give my personal opinion on this album here. I did not love the album. I really liked it a lot. I definitely didn't hate it. For me, it's like I really loved it, I really liked it, or I just didn't like it. I really, really like this album, but it's not on the level of love for me here. I would say my biggest con is that it is a little bit too long. Like, for me, like, I understand, like, telling a story sometimes takes a little bit of time. Obviously, with like a book or something like that, it does take a little bit of time to tell the story. But for me, some of the songs, again, they did kind of blend together. There was enough uniqueness for me here where I didn't want to put it as a con, because again, there were some really cool moments in the song, and the features did help break up the songs a little bit here. But for me, it just ran a little bit too long. I mean, with 13 songs almost being an hour long, it's really hard for me to stay focused. Maybe it's just a me thing. It probably is, but for me, I thought it was a little bit too long of an album. I would also say, like, unfortunately, like with an album being 13 songs, there's only like a few songs that truly like wowed me, where to the point where I was like laughing, I was rocking out really hard. Not saying I wasn't rocking my head throughout the entire album, I absolutely was, because I did enjoy it, but there's only a few songs that made me go like, oh yeah, that thing that I do, where I laugh and just go crazy. There's only a few songs on this album that really did that for me here. And again, with 13 songs, to me, that's kind of a little bit of a letdown, to be honest. And I would honestly say, as much as I did not hate the last song, Hail to the King, had some really cool moments in there. Again, with just a super long album and ending with an 8-minute song, to me, that last song, it just dragged, unfortunately. And again, maybe that's a me thing, maybe it's super early in the morning, I'm not entirely sure. I did listen to a part of it again before I did this, did my review, and I just kind of felt the same thing. Not that it's a bad song, and Joe from Fit for an Autopsy is fantastic and sounds fantastic on that song. That last song just kind of was a little bit slow for me here, even though it had some really cool moments. They could have shaved off 4 minutes of that, and I think that it would have been probably one of my favorite songs, because again, it had some really cool moments on there, but again, just a little bit too long for me. The top 3 favorite songs from this album here, I would say number 1 is going to be Behemoth. That song totally took me by surprise. It was heavy, it was unique. Like, I have not really heard anything like that before, and so I was like listening to the album, it's like, it's kind of sounding a little bit the same, but still kind of cool. And then Behemoth came in and just totally changed everything with a really sick music video to go along with it. Absolutely the standout on the album for me here. That song was super, super cool. I actually really, really like that song. That one is definitely going on my playlist here. I also really like Pandora's Box. When that song came out, my girlfriend was in town, and I just obviously was really busy doing stuff with her, like hanging out and doing those types of things, so I didn't really get a chance to like react to that song. But it's kind of a bummer that I wasn't able to. Obviously, I love spending time with my girlfriend, but I was like, dang, that's a really good song, man. And Lauren's part on that, her voice is so good. It just added that extra layer of awesome to that song, and so that song for me was really good, and Mikey sounded really good on that song as well. Cool guitar moments, everything like that. thought it was super, super sick. And then I would say the last song that really stuck out to me here was Nor Hell of Fury. I thought that song, not that it was anything too crazy. It was kind of just a breakdown all the way through. But man, it just, I don't know, this kind of held my attention. Like, I'm cool with like simple songs as long as they hold my attention. That one did. It was heavy. It was exciting. And I really, really enjoyed that song. Again, there's a lot more songs on this album that I did enjoy. But again, those are the top 3 songs that stuck out to me on the first initial listen. I never want to go in hating an album or disliking an album. You know, I try to go in with an open mind, going like, okay, not every band is going to sound like Wage War or Fit for a King or those types of things. So those are like my 2 favorite, you know, bands in the scene. And so, you know, I got to keep in mind that not every band's going to sound like that, and it's going to be different. And I always try my best to like just put those aside and listen to like just new music. And I really, really like this album a lot. I didn't love it like I wanted it to. Again, from the singles that I reacted to, I really, really like those songs. I really like those songs a lot. I love the top 3 songs that I just mentioned here. But again, a lot of the album felt kind of samey to me here. Well, again, it had some really cool moments in the song, that definitely some standout songs. A lot of it just kind of felt a little bit repetitive and a little bit overly long for me personally here. Again, there's some really, really high moments in this album, and there's not too many like super low lows. I would say there's some stuff in the middle that I feel like for me personally that can be improved on. But again, I know like obviously my one opinion's not going to change what they do for their career. I do think these guys are extremely talented, and I cannot wait to see what they do more next. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do next year. I mean, again, they have super cool songs that I would love to see live one day. And again, sometimes seeing a band live always does change my opinion on a band. That does happen sometimes here. But again, I really like the album here. I'm going to give the Gloom in the Corner Trinity a 7 out of 10. I think it's a solid release, really fun to listen to on Halloween when this was recorded. And again, I'm excited to see what these guys do more in the future. Again, there's definitely a few songs I'll be adding to my playlist for sure. I mean, Behemoth alone was just absolutely fantastic.